Prairie Mosaic is funded by the Minnesota Arts and Cultural Heritage Fund with money from the vote of the people of Minnesota on November 4th, 2008, the North Dakota Council on the Arts, and by the members of Prairie Public.
Welcome to Prairie Mosaic, a patchwork of stories about the arts, culture, and history in our region.
Hi, I'm Barb Gravel.
And I'm Matt O'Lean. On this edition of Prairie Mosaic, we'll watch a block of wood become a sculpture, visit a fort in Lake of the Woods County, and hear music from a Minneapolis musician.
Blinking off and on, 10 million faces in this screen, radio.
Kim Jory of Moorhead, Minnesota specializes in paintings of new and old buildings and can bring them to life as if they were actual living, breathing things. She also has a passion for chalk art, which has grown over the years and can be seen throughout town.
Painting is very spiritual for me. When I paint, I like to listen to music, or when I'm outside, you hear things around you like the birds, what you're seeing, the light. It makes me excited. I always love to color and dabble in little watercolor sets, paint by numbers. And then when I went to school, my 6th grade teacher was an artist and noticed my talent. I've always been interested in architectural. I did go to college for art at NDSU, and I kind of wanted to be an architect, but architectural was too hard, and so I decided my love of painting buildings is because of that. I love old history of buildings and angles. In my architectural, there's a lot of detail. My style of painting in everything I do is a lot of bright colors, a lot of contrast. That's what I'm known for. There's 2 types of painting. I do watercolors and acrylics. There are 2 different techniques. With a watercolor, you use paper, and it's a water-based paint, and it's a lot of layering of washes. So it's a built-up kind of a thing. I tend to be an artist that doesn't really plan and draw a lot unless I'm doing commissions or my architectural pieces. Drawing is sort of like your skeleton to your painting. So you need to have some plan there, but I am gifted that I can have it in my head and it comes out very easily without measuring. I can just draw really easy, paint really easy. I like to do collections. I traveled to France. I did a whole collection of paintings there. I did a whole collection of all the 3 colleges, events and buildings and everything that goes on with our colleges in town. My first commissioned one was for the Fargo Film Festival, and so I painted a special painting for their marketing, and people loved it so much. So I kept on painting the Fargo Theater, but I tried to reinvent myself and do it different ways, different colors, different styles, just so people have a choice of a fun painting of the Fargo Theater. Chalk art is something I've done for quite a while. There has been festivals in Fargo, Moorhead, and I've been commissioned to do a few of those. I had a friend that asked me to do a piece on his sidewalk because there's walkers at night, and there was overwhelming response from there, and I decided to do that every week. I pretty much paint every day. At least I have 3 commissions going at all times. I make a point to paint what I love, and that shows in my painting. I had a couple that had this antique chair in their family, And so they commissioned me to do a painting on it. And I thought it was going to be something really simple, but they came in with a long list of about 20 things they wanted on this chair. All the things that they loved in their lives and loved to do. It took me a long time to do it. It was like doing 20 paintings, and it was amazing. It's not all about money all the time. It's about love. I love what I do. The more you paint and do your art and are passionate about it, the better you get. And the connections that you make makes a difference in making a living at it. It's wonderful as an artist to have your pieces really loved, and it's a part of me going out to other people. That's important for an artist, to have that feeling and to know that you're doing a good job and people like your stuff.
Fort St. Charles in Lake of the Woods County was established in 1732 during a time of trade and exploration west. In recent years, Northwest Angle residents have been instrumental in maintaining the fort.
You can hardly overemphasize the importance of this. It's just a great history, and not just Minnesota history, it's Canadian history, it's Western history, it's the history of travel and exploration.
At that particular time, ships, if they wanted to go to the Orient, had to go all the way around the tip of Africa or the tip of South America, making a journey to the Orient 3, sometimes even up to 4 years. There was this perpetual hope that they could find a Northwest Passage, some way to get across North America.
Almost all of that begins with the travel and exploration of a single family.
Pierre La Vérendrye is a soldier for the king, Louis XIV and Louis XV, and he and his sons and nephews take off across the Great Lakes.
Most of those trips were done without government financing. At the very, very tip of the Northwest Angle, he built a fort, Fort St. Charles.
At Fort St. Charles, they're trading with the Assiniboine, they're trading with the Cree, they're trading with various bands of the Sioux.
It was kind of a point where they would go off and build other forts. So there were about 9, 10 forts farther west and farther north of Fort St. Charles. One of the important historical things, or what people get excited about on Lake of the Woods, is the story about Massacre Island. And that was one of La Vérendrye's sons, and 19 voyageurs and a priest, Father Aulnoux, were going east to meet a resupply team, and they were all killed.
The bodies of the priest and La Vérendrye the younger are left whole, but the voyageurs, the 19 voyageurs, are actually beheaded.
This wasn't an insignificant event. It was, the French called them Sioux. They were Dakota that killed all these voyageurs and traders. That began a war between the Dakota and Ojibwe that lasted a long, long time.
The elder La Vérendrye has his son's body, the body of the priest, brought back, as well as the heads of the individuals retrieved from Massacre Island and taken to Fort St. Charles. La Vérendrye the elder keeps moving west to try to find the Northwest Passage, and at some point the bodies are essentially forgotten about. As the water changes, as the tides go in and out, the spot is actually lost. The Fort St. Charles essentially collapses. Around the turn of the 19th to 20th century, the priest family finds a cache of letters. And in the cache of letters, it becomes more clear where the priest is buried. And then it's in the 20th century that there's a massive effort to find the priest. They finally discover 2 skeletons, and they're pretty dang well certain that they belong to the priest and Jean-Baptiste La Vérendrye. Some of the 19 skulls, not all of the 19 skulls, are recovered.
Just kind of excites the imagination of historians mostly, And Fort St. Charles, that was a big thing when it was rediscovered, and recreating that fort was a pretty big deal. Ownership of that land was a big deal. It had changed hands many, many times before it was finally given to the state of Minnesota.
Larry Longtine and Barry Kutzer are master woodcarvers who can be found at their In the Chips business in Moorhead. The detail with which they carve is extraordinary, and their warmth and jovial nature have made them popular carvers with the public.
When I get a good piece of wood and a nice sharp tool, just the sound of that tool going through the wood, there's just no better sound in the world.
It started out strictly as a hobby. We had been doing some craft work and stuff as a hobby too. But when this carving came up, and I was a police officer, and if I worked until midnight, I'd get home. And some days were a little more stressful than others. And the family would be sleeping when I got home. I'd go down in my shop in the lower level of our house, take out my knife and a stick, and I'd sit there and carve. And it would really calm me down. It came about as a full-time thing when I had a back injury on the police department, and I took retirement at 50 years old. Carving was one of the things I could do because I can do it different paces, different shapes, bend different, very flexible.
It was in the late 90s. I started doing diamond willow walking sticks. And to dress them up a little bit, I started trying to put faces on them. And unfortunately, the faces were not very good. They looked more like the statues on Easter Island than really the faces I wanted. I figured, well, if I'm going to do this, I should learn to do it right. So I went to a local carving club meeting and said, I'd like to learn how to wood carve if there's anybody that would like to teach me. Larry was a member of the club, and for most of his time he lived out at Lake Ida, and he had a wood shop out there, sold wood carving tools and so forth. And every Thursday he would have open carving, and so carvers from all around the area would drive out there and sit around in the wood shop and carve and tell stories, and it was just a really fun. So that's how I got to know him. And then when he went into this place, this venture, I approached him with an idea of if I would help with the maintenance and cleaning and so forth, could I have a space here to use as a studio? And he was gracious enough to give it to me, and I've been considering myself very lucky since.
In the Chips kind of came off from a little plaque we have. It said, woodcarvers are always in the chips. So when we were picking a name, it just came out that In the Chips should be a good name for a carving shop.
I like to do the human form, the human face, and so forth. If you looked at my carvings, you find very few animals. I do occasionally do an animal, but my passion is the human face, the human form. I enjoy seeing what I can do with it. When I do a face or a carving, like of a human, putting the eyes in, that's when they come alive, when you put in the eyes. That's what makes me happy. I never keep track of how long it takes. If I had to guess, the wizard would probably have taken me 60, 70 hours.
I have really taken a big interest in the merry-go-round or carousel. And I grew up thinking that all merry-go-rounds had horses on them. Well, if you get away from the upper Midwest, there's all kinds of animals on them. From one of the factories down in Kansas, the story there is that they put all horses on theirs because their carousels were in the upper Midwest. Kids didn't ride chickens and stuff like that up here. They rode horses. So they kept horses on theirs. I'll take a streak where I really enjoy one thing and then I go to another. The latest fad was really the carousel critters. I refer to carousel horses, but when you do giraffes and elephants and lions and tigers, you should start referring to critters rather than horses. I spent 25 years working on the merry-go-round at Steam Thrasher Hill in Rolog, trying to restore that one. They've been fun for me. My preferred wood is basswood, also referred to as linden wood.
Obviously, basswood is the go-to wood for carvers, but I do a lot of things in butternut. And I also do a lot of things in cottonwood bark. That's kind of a fun wood to carve. Once you get past the outside, that's pretty rough. The inside is really very carvable. Well, I was first diagnosed with rheumatoid arthritis when I was about 25. I'm just a shade short of 74 now. It's not gotten any better. It just keeps getting a little worse. It slows me down. I don't work as fast as other carvers. I don't work in the same way. A lot of carvers, especially when they're doing something really small, will hold it. I can't do that. I just don't have the strength in my hands. So anything I carve, I have to have fastened down.
I do like to carve things kind of my way. I will look at something for a reference, but I don't always try to make it look exactly like that one. I think carving should be fun. It should not be serious. When I was teaching classes, I'd so often get a carver in there that would be upset because their carving wasn't coming out looking like mine. And I would try to explain, no, it won't look like mine. If you keep carving, someday it'll probably look better than mine. So I started carrying my first carving with me to classes. And when I got that comment, I'd bring this out and I'd hold it up and say, see, my first carving doesn't look like mine either. And trying to encourage them that that's one of the big fun things about carving is you keep changing and improving. Carving is just a fun thing to do. You need a little knife and a stick of wood. It's a very calming thing to do.
Chris Koza is a composer from the Minneapolis area who combines rock, pop, and folk to create his own Americana style of music. Jordan Myers accompanies him in this performance from Prairie Musicians.
Arms length away. You say this distance keeps us safe. Well, I drag my legs to your door. My body knows something my mind just won't admit. No one ever could change you, and only fools would try. I guess I never put to rest the sleepwalkers in my mind. It's not your job to play God when the graveyard comes back to life. All the wasted time trying to become someone else. Well, you taught me a thing or two. It took a while to catch up with where I am now. If we had another run, we'd blow that scene apart. I guess I never put to rest the sleepwalkers in my mind. It's not your job to play try. I guess I never put to rest the sleepwalkers in my mind. It's not your job to play God when the graveyard comes back to life. When the graveyard comes back to life. When the graveyard comes back to life. Traffic standing like a stone. 10 million people all alone. They wait for a signal change. Everyone pushing to get home. Walk in the door, sit down the key. Turn on the lights and the TV. The world blinking off and on. 10 million faces in this screen. Radio wave rushing through the open air. You can never taste or touch, spilling into everywhere. I'm reaching out for you. You're reaching out for me through a physical plane. I keep falling for a radio wave. Late at night the city sleeps. The freeway sounds just like the sea. The waves crashing on forever. Water washes over me. Radio wave, fly away frequency. You can never hold or feel the spirit of the in-between. I'm drifting after you. You're drifting after me through a physical plane. I keep falling for a radio wave, rushing through the open air. No, 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 no. You can never taste or touch, spilling into everywhere. I'm reaching out for you. You're reaching out for me through a physical plane. I keep falling for a radio wave. The waves
If you know of an artist, topic, or organization that you think might make for an interesting segment, contact us at prairiemosaic@prairiepublic.org.
You can watch this and other episodes of Prairie Mosaic on Prairie Public's YouTube channel. And please follow Prairie Public on social media as well. I'm Barb Gravel.
And I'm Matt O'Lean. Thanks for joining us for another edition of Prairie Mosaic.
Prairie Mosaic is funded by the Minnesota Arts and Cultural Heritage Fund with money from the vote of the people of Minnesota on November 4th, 2008, the North Dakota Council on the Arts, and by the members of Prairie Public.